When we look at common patterns in the cultural conversation of organizations today, we see the traces of disconnection consciousness and the movement to heal the impacts of that worldview. We see that in things like engagement, retention, silos, bureaucracy, diversity, equity, and inclusion, mental health at work, the Me Too movement, aging populations in the workplace, parenting at work, depletion and well-being at work, and corporate social responsibility for sustainability. All of these things point to the ways that we get to recreate connective tissue in culture and reweave our abilities in our day-to-day interactions and our drumbeats and rhythms as groups of people to foster personal aliveness, relational aliveness, intimacy, belonging, inhabitation of creativity and sovereignty across multiple scales, our sense of belonging to life, and acting not only for the benefit of an organization, but knowing that organizations are not distinguished from the ecosystems and the communities that they're a part of and that they belong to and serve. All of these levels of healing are taking place in the organizational level right now. These are all the hot topics, but they're rarely framed as being evidence of disconnection. When we look at them in this wider way, of moving away from command and control systems where people are disposable, problematic, not to be trusted, need to be controlled through fear and punishment. Some are better than others and therefore deserve different treatment. We're smelling the Ouroboros. So the organizational movement to put culture first, to step into the future of work, to evolve into what are known as teal organizations that have a higher purpose, invite people's wholeness. Ask each person to step into self-responsibility so that we can have different ways of outer working, are all responses to healing disconnection worldview. So in this future of work realm, often what's focused on is the outer work. How do we change our outer ways of working so that we're less siloed, so that things are less bureaucratic and calcified, so that power is less concentrated at the top? And that movement is towards becoming more networked and more self-managing. I've been a consultant in this area, and I'm so grateful to my time at The Ready, which is an organization which you can check out, and I'll give information about their work and website and the associated book, Brave New Work. They have so many skills. My work at my time there was incredibly revealing to the ways that we can slash bureaucracy and obstacles to aliveness in our ability to collaborate with each other. It's very easy to sense this because it saps your aliveness. It saps my aliveness when we're systems that are clogged and that are responding to empowering some while disempowering others. But one of the key things that I learned there is that unless we're doing the outer work of change while also fostering the inner work of change, which is that outer work is just a new skin on the same old worldview. You can still be a power abuser while you're running holacratic systems, while you're running more distributed meetings, while you're having an open space office, while you're implementing agile experimentation. The deeper work of organizational evolution is all around our relationship to power. It's all around taking responsibility for our egos and the inner power and the outer forms of power and the systems we design to support power that serves the some or power that serves the whole. That's why after my time working at The Ready, while I was also doing wayfinding, I realized I'm just going to invest all in on my work to do the inner work with leaders because it's not happening that much. And part of why it's not happening that much is because consultants want to keep getting consulted with. And oftentimes, when you put a plan in front of a leader and it says, you will have to do inner work to support this outer work change, all of a sudden, the plan is politely being wiped off of the proverbial table into the trash can and the contract is over. I've seen that throughout my consulting career with different organizations. And now I'm just honest about what I do up front. And I say, this is the foundation. And you're here because you know that. And once we name the Ouroboros, once we name that the foundation is shaky, and any amount of consulting work from any of the big ones, if we put something flashy on top of something shaky, you're basically giving away money. That's going to resurface the same issue in a couple years down the road. So let's just go straight to it. That starts with, how do we sense blockages to aliveness in the organizational body and the team body? You probably already know these. Oftentimes, there are different layers of what people name. They're the same sensations in a physical, personal body as in the organizational body. They're things that make people frustrated. They're things that make people feel vampirically sapped by energy. There are things that make people feel disrespected or undervalued, or like they want to tear their hair out, or like no one's paying attention to them, or they can't flex their creative sovereignty. These are all different blockages to aliveness in the organizational body. They can feel cold, they can feel tired, they can feel hard, they can feel small. And the best question at this scale, rather than asking about aliveness, because people in organizations aren't necessarily always oriented to that feeling, is you ask, what gets in the way of doing your best work? And they will have like 13 things come up right away, and they have to choose which one. If you can only choose one, what gets in the way? And usually what they point to is the procedural outer layer. And then what you can ask yourself when you look at your own organizational setting is, what is the truth you're afraid to speak about the blockage in your organization? Usually it's around leadership patterns and power and the things that remain unsaid. Those go together. That which is unsaid usually creates the blockage that then the whole experiences, and then the feedback loop is cut off to the power holders. So true, deep, lasting change is never actually invited, named, or engaged. So that's an initial orientation to sensing aliveness and blockage in an organization, where the gifts and the shadows are. Now let's go into mapping a little more deeply.